Hey guys, so I don't know if you have a lot of cherry tomatoes coming in right now, but I really do. So I'm going to can them up along with some other vegetables depending on how much room I have in my jars. So I'm going to, my primary can is the cherry tomatoes, but if I have to, I can also add some zucchini into a jar, and I'm going to put some of the fresh cucumbers that I sliced up off the garden in with a couple of the tomato jars. So the first thing I want to do is I want to open this jar that I canned in September of 2022 because I want to see if the flavor is good or if I need to do any, mixing around with my flavors. So now I couldn't open the jar, so I had someone open the jar, and now, oh, it smells so good. Okay, so in this one I put garlic, dill, looks like some basil, um, grape leaf. Huh, so I have a nice mix in here, so now I'm going to try it. So I've learned a lot since I canned these last time about canning cherry tomatoes, and one of the things that I didn't do with this is I didn't poke holes in my cherry tomatoes with a toothpick before I canned them, so they split. So here we go. Mmm. Oh, that's so good. That's so delicious. Hang on. I gotta check again. Mmm. Okay, those are delicious. They're very soft. Oh my god, the flavor is intense. It's so good. So now, excuse me, because I opened this jar, now it's gonna go into the fridge, and it should be fine in there. I don't know, at least 3 weeks plus, because of all the acidity in there. And now, mmm. So actually, see what I mean by they split? So when they got too hot, the skin split. This time, I'm going to be poking holes in them so that the skin doesn't split. Okay, so I did write down some notes because I don't want to forget anything. Let's see. And now I'm going to go over them. Okay, so I'm going to be doing primarily cherry tomatoes. When you're dealing with the cherry tomatoes, you want to bring them in from your garden. You want to wash them really good. I put a little bit of lemon juice in the water just to kind of cut through anything that is on there. And then you remove all the little stems. Now, some of these tomatoes are on the greener side, and that's okay with me. I'm totally all right with that. It'll just add a different flavor into the mix. So you want to start by having clean jars and lids, and the lids should be in nice warm water until you're ready to start canning. So I'm going to take you off of here for a minute and show you what I got going. So you don't have to use a water bath canner. Can you guys see that? This is just one of my big pots. And the reason I'm doing that is because I do not have the amount of quarts to fill my water bath canner. Now that's hot. I can turn it off. I'm going to show you what I do. You see how there's a tea towel in there? The reason that is because you don't want your jars directly on the bottom when you're canning. So when you're picking your pot, take your pot out and put whatever jars that you're using. I'm using these jars, right? So I put them in there, make sure they all fit. And then what I do is I fill up my pot to about halfway, and as I'm putting the jars into the pot to sterilize them, I fill them up with water so that it's the same displacement for when I put my jars full back in. There'll be enough water in there to cover my jars, so I don't have to play around with the measurements and stuff. So I'm just going to pour this hot water over top of my lids to soften up those seals. There we go. Now these jars are still quite warm, like I said, and now I'm going to, so yeah, just put a tea towel down in there. Make sure the water is at least an inch over top of your jars with the lid on for a water bath process without without a canner. So now I'm going to put you guys back over here. Mind my camera crew again. Okay, and here's all my ingredients. Okay. So my brine, how I make my brine. I mean, everybody has their own thing. When they're making brine, everybody likes it differently. I'm going to tell you what I do. So I use 8 cups of water, and clean water, not tap water, because it has fluoride in it. A little over a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, and a little over a half a cup of white vinegar. Now, to that, I also add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. Just because I like the flavor, the sugar is totally optional for you guys. So now when you're doing what I call a hot pack method, even though the tomatoes aren't hot, the water that the jars will be going into are hot, and the jars that I'm putting the products into are warm. So there's not going to be any thermal shock. You're not going to break your jars. It's really important that you do it in this fashion, and that you add in boiling water, or like the brine, into the jars so that it stays a consistent temperature. Okay, so, oh, and another thing that I do per jar is I add in, where did I put it? I add in you can add in a half to 1 teaspoon of salt. Now you want the non-iodine salt, so I use the coarse pickling salt. You can also use mineral salts. As long as there's no iodine in it, it'll be fine. And what the iodine does is it causes everything to go cloudy, and it just doesn't look appealing. But you still want to use a pickling salt. So to every jar, I'll add a half of a teaspoon of salt. And I will add 1 teaspoon of the real lemon. Now, when it comes to canning, you don't want to use fresh lemons. The reason is because the pH consistency, or it's not consistent, the pH level in fresh lemons, right? One could be higher, one could be lower. When you're canning, you really want to keep it at a consistent pH, which this provides. The acidity is tested, and I think it's like a 5 or a 6. I don't know where it says it on here. Anyways, but it's tested, so you know that the acid you're adding is consistent. So I will also be adding 1 teaspoon of this per jar. So I'm going to start by getting one of my warm jars. And yes, my hands are clean. I've just been gardening a lot. I want to see what you guys are looking at here. Oh, nothing. Okay, here we go. So I have a warm jar to start. Now the first jar that I'm going to do, I'm going to take my my toothpicks. See, I didn't do this part last time, just because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I'm just going to poke a couple holes in it and drop it in there. This one I'm going to use the bigger tomatoes that I have, just because. And I'm also going to put in some cucumber into this one. I think I'll put skins out. Just because I think that the flavor will be really nice of the tomatoes and the cucumbers together. So just poke some holes in there, just so it doesn't split, right? Like, if that makes any sense to you guys. And no, they're not all completely red, but it'll be fine. The flavor will be amazing. Oops, I'm losing my tomatoes. Here. Okay. And I think I'm even going to put one really green one in here, because I think it'll look pretty. Okay, and then I'm going to put some more cucumbers. Maybe I'll use this one. And I'm going to kind of do that, and then another tomato. Now, when you're water bath canning vegetables, they really shrink down, right? They kind of disappear. So don't worry if you're kind of pushing them a little bit. You don't want to burst your tomatoes like I just did. But you do want to get a lot in there, right? All right, so I'm going to keep doing this for a few more. Let me know how you guys can your tomatoes. I know there's the traditional making salsas and making, you can make your own ketchup and all sorts of stuff. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys some different options of how to preserve your tomatoes other than doing it this way. So now, because I'm yakking and I'm not focusing on my canning, I didn't put in my dill, and I really want dill in this one. So I'm going to take a couple of these out, and I am going to squish dill in as best I can. Okay? Because I really want this particular jar really dilly. Really dilly. See what I did there? Oops. Okay, so... and I'm also going to add in some dehydrated garlic, because I don't have any fresh stuff. So this is the stuff that I dehydrate myself. Yes, it'll absorb a little bit of water, but that's okay. Like I said, they shrink down a lot. I just want this particular jar to have a lot of flavor to it. So we're going to hit that. So I have dill, I have garlic, and I'm going to put 1 sprig of oregano. And that's how I like it. So, okay, so there's the first jar. And I'm just going to set it over there and grab another jar. And we're going to keep going. Oh, I didn't put these back in. There we go. We're going to keep going. So I'm looking at this tomato, and it's got these weird discolorations to it. I'm not going to use it, because the thing is with canning, if your product has any like spoil to it, it'll just increase in spoil in the canning process. So you want to make sure that you don't do that. And I'm just going to add 1 more back into that. Okay, so this one is going to be, I'm going to put my herbs in first. So I'm going to do, I picked a bunch of fresh basil off the plant. So I'm going to put basil in there. And I'm going to throw some dill in as well into this jar, just because I can. And why not, right? It is like a pickled brine, right? It's very good though, very refreshing. Oh, and I didn't put my salt, and I didn't put my lemon in there. See? And that's only because I'm not used to talking while I'm canning. I'm used to just kind of doing my thing. So I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of salt. Okay? And I'm going to put in, a teaspoon of lemon juice as well. Okay. And it gives it a nice, fresh, zesty flavor in the end. So, okay, we got that one done. Now I'm going to start with because I'm out of paper towels, or at least I can't find them right now, so I'm just going to go with this. So I've got my salt in there, I've got my basil in there, and I've got my dill in there. I think I'm going to add some garlic to this one too, but maybe not as much. It's great because you can make every jar a different flavor if you want to, right? They don't have to be the same. I'm going to do some with just oregano for more of a, like say if I needed tomatoes for some sort of a, like an Italian dish where I want the nice fresh cherry tomatoes in their form, right, on a dish. So this one will have all the flavors in there. And it's also easy enough to just kind of mash up to make a tomato paste or a tomato sauce, pardon me, for a dish. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. Now, I do have other suggestions on how you guys can do preserving of your tomatoes, because I'm going to throw some cucumber in this one as well, just to take up some space, because I like having these on the shelf. I didn't put cucumbers in that other one, but I know I'm going to love it just because of the taste of the tomato that came out of there. And all those cloves of garlic in that jar are delicious. Yummy, yummy. This one's a little bit green. I don't mind. And I think I'm going to make sure there's at least two pieces of cucumber in there. What do you think? 2 or maybe 3? Here, I'll put one more in there. There we go. And then just keep packing it up until it's full. And really, tomatoes really settle down, like they settle way down. The cherry tomatoes aren't as bad, like you guys saw that jar. And I really want to have another one because they're delicious. The lemon in it, the flavor of it, it really does something. It gives it a really fresh, zesty flavor. Oh, and see this, how this tomato's already split? Don't put that in there. You don't want to put that in there because it'll just split further like those other ones. I want them to be nice whole tomatoes like this so that they'll pop in your mouth with all that yumminess. My water's getting hot there. So now there's a couple other steps that you have to take when you're canning, whether it's water bath or pressure canning. And that's in cleaning your rims, your rims and your lids, because you want to make sure that you're going to get a nice good seal that isn't going to like lose its seal in the canning process, because that would suck, right? I'm just trying to squish a couple more in here, because why not? Okay. So this will be another one with the cucumbers in it. It'll be nice. You know, I think that when I open these up, what I would do with it is I would probably strain it off and then cut up the tomatoes and the cucumbers to add to a salad. It would have a nice pop of color and a burst of flavor. So, okay. That one's pretty much done. I'm just trying to make a little bit more room in there for a few more tomatoes. And as my tomatoes come in, I will repeat this process over and over and over until they're all gone. Okay, so there's another jar. Okay, now this jar, I'm only going to do with the tomatoes. I'm not going to add anything else to it. Did I put the lemon in? Yeah, I did. So, there we go. Okay, set that aside. Now, I'm really tempted just to grab them and throw them in the jar, but I don't want them to split. They look so much better when they stay, you know, as a whole tomato. So, if all I have to do is this, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, so now I'm going to throw in some oregano into this. Because this way, like I said, I can just dump this into, or add some hamburger to it, kind of give it a hit with the, with like a masher and make a nice pasta sauce out of it, right? You can add peppers, you can add onions to it. Ooh, I should add onion. Maybe onion in this one. You know what I mean, though? You can do whatever floats your boat. Oh, and this one's split too, so I'm not going to use that. I might have to add onion to this one, you guys. So, yeah, I am. I'm going to add some onion into this one. I'll just see what I got in the fridge quickly. Well, I have a little bit of a red onion that needs to be used up, so let's just do that. them look pretty too. I'll just do that. And back to my, yeah, I think it'll be nice. The onion, the oregano, I think it'll have a nice flavor to it. Perfect for Italian. It would even be nice with just a nice garlic bread, maybe with some basmati vinegar on it and some different deli meats or something. You could make up a sandwich or whatever. It's going to be delicious. So my mom, when she made her tomatoes, do you guys know what bread and butter pickles are? Well, she used to do her tomatoes that way too, the little cherry tomatoes. And I didn't know that she popped holes in hers. Doing the cherry tomatoes is kind of a newer thing. Well, I started in like 2000 canning these, so it's one of the things that is newer to me and to my pantry. I've always done tomato sauce. I've always done salsa, but never the whole cherry tomatoes. So I really like having them on my pantry shelf. Even though they're split open, I'm okay with it. Okay, so I'm going to put another piece of onion. I'm going to put a little bit more oregano. What do you guys think? That's looking pretty fancy. And then I'm going to finish this up. So the interesting thing when you're water bath canning or pressure canning, when I know I don't have enough to do all my jars with one product, I'll look into what other products take the same amount of time to water bath, and then I'll combine them together, which is why I have my zucchini out here, because it's another one that requires only 10 minutes via the Ball Canning Book. Their instructions for canning the cherry tomatoes is 10 minutes. So once you bring it to pressure, to a full rolling boil, you water bath can it for 10 minutes. And then you just shut it off. So this is looking super pretty. I really like it. Put a couple of these little teensy weensy red ones on top. Yeah, and then these are good on your shelf. Like, I'm not going to give you guys say they're good for 10 years or 30 years, but they're good. So this is what this looks like. And yes, I reuse my jars. That's what this is. This is labeling, the sticky stuff. I think these are salsa jars from Walmart. And I reuse them because they have the one-piece lug lids on them. So that's what that one looks like. Now I have my salt in there. I have my lemon in there. I have all my ingredients in there. And now I still have 2 more jars to fill up. So I have this zucchini, and I think I'm going to do my salt. I can remember what I did with that. And I'm still going to be adding my lemon into this because the flavor is really nice. It's really nice. So, let's see. Gives it just a really fresh zest to it. Okay, so now I'm gonna, do you guys remember I pulled out that acorn squash vine and I picked off the little ones? I'm using some of that in here. So I've got that. I have one little one that I picked off tonight. Because why not, right? Oh, that's a green one. Hang on. I want to separate the yellow and the green nicely so it has a good display. It's all about presentation, right? Well, it is for me anyways. I'm very, very much about presentation. I like to see things in different colors and, not too consistent. I like sporadic. So now I'm thinking, okay, zucchini. I have to cut this one up. So I'm going to quickly cut that up. Okay. There we go. There's not really too many seeds in here, so I'm not going to worry about it, but I am going to cut out a little bit of that pulpous kind of stuff out of there. Get that one in there. Now zucchini really, really slams down. Their size disappears in the canning process. So don't be afraid to kind of squish them in there. And I'm trying to think of a flavor. Do you think I should add dill, like zucchini? I think dill. I think I'm going to put dill in this one. So, let's see if I can get it in there now that I squished my jar down. Hang on here. Okay. I think that'll be nice. A dill flavored zucchini. Yeah, I think so. Maybe one more piece. Because if you're going to do it, right? Don't mess around. Get that flavor in there. So you're not questioning, what did I use? You know, oh my goodness. Okay, I think that's going to look really pretty. So that's another jar, and that'll go over here. Now I have one more jar left. And this one, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to get my jar, and I'm going to put a little bit of that back in there. Okay, so I've got my jar. Again, I'm going to do my salt, my lemon juice. And what should I do in this one, you guys? Okay. Oh, I know. I'm going to make them spicy. That's what I'll do. I'll do a spicy zucchini. I think that'll be really nice. Okay. So, what am I going to put? I'm going to put a nice red one at the bottom. And I'm going to leave the seeds right in it. Let's see. Cut that like that. Now I have another zucchini here that I'm going to quickly cut up. I did already wash it because I kind of figured I'd need it. But I didn't want to waste it at the same time. So we're just going to see. We're going to see where we go here. Okay. So there's that. There's that. I have more cucumber, but I don't want cucumber in with it. Oops. Now, because there's has seeds in it, I'm going to remove some of that pulp. And the chickens love it, so why not? I wish I would have left, see what I'm doing, a piece of the green at the top. Wait, so I got red, green, let me put this one like that, yellow, green, no, more yellow, now green. And I'm leaving these ones a little bit bigger because I like big chunks of zucchini. And then this one, let's see. I should be able to get one more on here. I might have to cut it up though. Let's try that. Okay, now I'm going to put another hot pepper in it, up here, and then that. Maybe I can get one more piece in there. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm okay with that. Okay, everything's in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to switch you guys over here. Let's see if you can see me. Hopefully my phone has not turned off, as it so loves to do. All right. So now I guess my back, hang on. I don't want to have my back turned to you guys. Right? And, wait a minute. You know my big old tripod. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. You know, recently I had someone watch one of my videos that I did when I first started, and it was on dehydrating cheese. and they said in the video, this is a horrible video. You can't see anything that you're doing. I was like, oh no. So I am going to redo my video on dehydrated cheese. Okay, so now we have our jars. We have our lids over here in warm water. And now I'm just going to fill them up with the brine. Again, I hope you can see. I hope I'm going to the right spot. Like, did I do it again? I think you can see me there. Sheesh. Okay. So now I'm going to fill it up with my brine. And then the next step is really important. So, because I'm using such big pieces and because the product is big, I want to make sure there's no air pockets stuck down below. So I'm going to kind of stick in my spatula, see? And that won't work. So now I'm just going to tap it. So any air that's trapped in there will come up to the top. And then I can finish topping it up. And again, you're going to leave about a 1-inch headspace. Now I know it looks like this is way overloaded, but because it will sink down, I'm not worried about it. And with the lug lids, you don't want to tighten them too much. You just want to just grip them, because otherwise you can't get them open. And because there's the tea towel in the bottom of the pot, have a big long spoon or a wood device or something and set down one jar, spreading out that cloth so that you make sure you have some cloth underneath every jar. And that's going to stop it from rattling and stuff like that. Okay, so here we go again. We're going to add the brine. Oh, and you know what, you guys? I am not good at this, having this camera going while I'm canning, because I'm really kind of screwing up. So I'm going to take this back out. And I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to get my clean tea towel, or you can use paper towel. And then I've got my vinegar, and I'm just going to put a little bit of vinegar on the edge of the towel, and I'm going to wipe my rim, okay, because I don't want to take any chance of anything being on there, whether it's from the oils on my hands or whatever. Okay, again, just slightly tightened and into the pot. Same with this one. I can't really get in here to debubble it, so I would really love to hear if you guys can, and if you can zucchini. Now, I've canned zucchini in the past, and I don't really like it because it does get quite mushy. It doesn't stay firm at all. You see the bubbles coming up? See that? You want to make sure all those bubbles come up. So when it stops, you're good to go. And I can add a little bit more brine into there. Again, you're at about a 1-inch headspace. And then you take your tea towel with vinegar, wipe your rim to make sure that you get a good seal. And then you put your lid on, just on, right? Don't reach it down because it'll be impossible to get it open. Okay, there we go. So while I am doing this, I'm going to check my notes quickly. Oh, and you want to use a big pot, because when the whole thing about water bath canning is to bring it to a roiling boil. So it's really, really, really boiling. And if your pot isn't high enough, it's going to splash everywhere and your jars won't be covered properly. So you really want to leave, you know, a good amount of room above the jars and above the water so that you can do the proper canning practice. Okay, so the cherry tomatoes are definitely a lot easier when it comes to debubbling, because the bubbles just kind of roll off of them and come to the top. But you still do want to give it a little bump nudge. See? Can you guys see the bubbles coming up? Okay. So that's good. And now I'm going to go back with my tea towel, a little bit of vinegar, wipe my rims, and put my lid on. Okay. There we go. Okay. Coming down to the end. So there's a lot of different flavors and variations that you can do this, depending on what you like, you know, what your tastes are. I like using the apple cider vinegar in my brine. I don't like just using the white vinegar, just because it gives it a deeper, richer flavor. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to, this one I put lots of garlic in this one, so I want to lid it. And again, we're going to knock those bubbles up as best we can. Make sure our headspace is good, and then put our lid on. Okay. And then I've got one more, and this is the one with just the onion and the oregano. And they're all going to taste absolutely lovely. So, tell me down in the comments, what's your favorite thing to water bath can? When it comes to things from your garden, or just things you like to have on your pantry shelf for the winter months. Do you have a favorite? Have you done this before? Do you know any tips and tricks and secrets or recipes? Because everybody's always looking for a good recipe, you know. It's nice to try new things and to find new favorites, right? You know, when it comes to canning, a lot of people, they have their regular things that they can all the time. I like to switch it up. I like to try new things and be creative. Okay, so that is in there. I do have brine left over. I usually always do, but I hate running out and having to add water because it dilutes the flavor of everything. Okay, so now I'm going to pop you off there. This is what it looks like. So there's about 1.5 inches of water over top of the jars. And then I still have at least, 2.5 inches before the lid. So now I'm going to turn it up all the way to high because I want it to come to a full rolling boil. Now, once it starts to come to a full rolling boil, and not before that, I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. As soon as the 10 minutes is up, I turn the heat off and I let it cool down before taking my jars out. See, I have all these beans to can, you guys, and I need to go out there and pick. Okay, let's talk about options. I'm going to put you back on here. Wait, I'm not very good at this. Hang on here. I'm going to put you back on here, and I'm going to turn you back over here so I can finish talking to you about canning. And it isn't boiling yet. We have those safety burners that has like a little bell underneath. So when things start to boil, it makes this little jiggling sound. All right. There we go. Now I think, is that my beets? My beets. Okay, my beets are done. I am canning so many different things right now, you guys. Okay, so options. If you do not want to can your cherry tomatoes, you can do the same thing. Wash them and then remove the stems and then put them onto a cookie sheet, like a baking sheet. Now, before you put them onto a baking sheet, you put them in a bowl, metal bowl, put in some coconut oil or a nice healthy oil, salt and pepper, whatever flavorings you want, and then put them in your oven and roast them. So, you know, just slightly charred to get that nice roasted flavor. And then once you're done roasting them, you can put them into a freezer baggie and put them into your fridge or freezer, in segments so that you can grab them out and use them whenever you want. Another way to use them is to slice them up and dehydrate them. Now, I like to keep sliced up dehydrated tomatoes, halved cherry tomatoes. I like that size, and they're nice and crispy, so you can add them to a salad. And the other thing I like to do with my tomatoes after I dehydrate them is I like to powder them up. Now, the reason I powder up my tomatoes is because when you have tomato powder, anytime you need to thicken a recipe in a tomato manner, like a tomato paste, you can just make your own. You take out a couple teaspoons of the powder or tablespoons or whatever, and you mix in your little bit of water and you can add it to any dish. So, say you make, I don't know, let's say you make spaghetti sauce and it's just not thick enough and you don't have tomato paste. That's where this is going to be your own tomato paste, where you make up your paste, add it to your dish, and voila, it's thickened up and it tastes delicious. The other way that I like to do my tomatoes, now this is for my bigger tomatoes, is when they come ripe, because they don't all come at once, and I like to can them once they're all ready. So I take them in off the garden, I give them a quick wash, and I core them. I just cut the core out of the middle, and then I put them into bags and I throw them in my freezer. Then when I'm ready to make my products, whatever it is, whether it's stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes or whatever, I just pull those bags out and they're all clean and ready to go. I put them in the pot and start cooking. And you can do that roasted as well. I mean, you can, if you want to can them with that roasted tomato flavor, it's very, very easy to do it. You just kind of charbroil them a little bit before you cook them. Again, you want to make sure you're using healthy oils. Don't use PUFA oils like corn oil or canola oil or vegetable oil. Don't use none of that stuff. It's really not good for us, and it definitely doesn't taste good on food. What else was there? Oh, another thing I like to do with the tomato powder is I like to sprinkle it on dishes. Like it just gives a little flavor. Like even on a salad, you could put it on there. You could do so many different things with it just to give it a nice pop of color and that tomato flavor, right? Like you could put it on, sprinkle it on top of a pizza. You could put it on pizza subs. You could put it on anything you want. Garlic toast or anything. The options are endless. And then, like say a garlic toast, you sprinkle that tomato powder on there and then put some cheese. And oh my goodness, you guys, you could put pepperoni. You could do whatever you want. But having these things on your shelf is going to be a real time saver in the end, I think. And you know exactly what's in the product, right? You know what herbs you put in there. You know where you grow your herbs. Everything is just so much better. So I'm going to show you again the jar that I did. Oops. And again, this is from 2022. And these are the tomatoes. And you can see the garlic and the dill. And there's a grape leaf in there. But yeah, they split. So I can almost guarantee you that these ones are not going to split, which I'm really happy about. I am going to eat another one. So now I want this to start boiling. So I'm going to throw my lid on. And another thing is I'm curious about, you guys, is what else do you do with your zucchini? So when it comes to my zucchini, again, I will slice it up and I will dehydrate it that way. I'll shred it and dehydrate it. I really like that. So say you want to make a zucchini bread or whatever, you've already got the shredded product. You just take some out and throw it right into your recipe and go, or you can rehydrate it a little bit to moisten it up, depending on how you like to make your stuff. It's another one that you can powder, I mean, if you wanted to. I've been talking a lot in my weeding videos about how I make a green mix. So I call it my green kitchen powder. I'm out right now. You can put anything you want in there. You can put stinging nettle, dandelion, plantain, clovers, so many different options, right? And kale, any extra beet greens or beet tops off your garden, and just keep throwing it into that jar and then powder it up. Put it in a shaker, and you can add nutrients to any dish. You can add flavor to any dish so simply. What else could you put in? You could put parsley in there. You could put whatever you wanted, right? And really use up the stuff in your garden, especially when it comes to the herbs and stuff. You have to grow a lot of parsley. Like it takes a lot of parsley to fill like a quart jar. So it's consistent harvesting every day. No different than how I do my medicinal flowers. A lot of my other herbs I harvest every single day. So a couple leaves here and there, or whatever, just to keep them putting up new stuff and using it, right? You want to use this stuff while it's fresh. So I didn't use up all my dill. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I have some salmon in the freezer, so maybe I'll do nice lemon dill salmon or something. But right now, I want to have another one of these, and I want to show you guys. Hang on here. I want to show you guys what they look like. Oops. So that's what they look like. And I know the skin looks weird because, like I said, they split. There's so much flavor. Anyways. And you can even use this like in the summertime. If you're having like a barbecue, you can put these out as a side. So delicious on anything. Now, this has almost come to a boil. Once it comes to a full rolling boil, I will set my timer for 10 minutes. Now, you guys know I don't do any editing, right? So, right now I have a choice. I can make this video a bit longer, wait for it to come to a boil so you guys can actually see the product coming out. I could split this into 2 videos, but I think that would suck. But I really want you to see what they look like. I'm really curious to see what they look like. I'm not sure how far we are. We're at, oh, someone's in my driveway. Okay. And you guys, I need some recipes for green beans, or for my beans. They're really lovely. I like the purple sketchy color on them. Inside, the bean is white. I don't know what kind of beans these are. If anybody has any knowledge on what type of bean this is, I would greatly appreciate it. They're super yummy, even fresh. They have a really nice flavor. I'll show you. See that? Aren't they lovely? I always wonder. There, now you can see them. See that? Beautiful, beautiful. But I'm going to can them whole. I'm probably going to cut these in like halves and can them that way. Because why not? They're really tasty. So, this is what I got left of my tomatoes. I still have to figure out what to do with my peppers. I dehydrate a lot of them, but I have a lot of hot peppers already dehydrated on my pantry shelf. So, I'm also wondering if there's something different I can do with my peppers. Now, I do make a pepper jelly, but I'll use the peppers that come later. I think what I'm going to do with these for now, well, the jalapeno ones, I'm going to keep them out because I'm going to make jalapeno poppers. But these chili peppers, I'm going to freeze them. So I'm just going to cut the tippy top off. I'm going to leave the seeds and everything inside of them, and I'm just going to stick them in the freezer in freezer-safe containers. And then I can just use them that way. Alright, well, this is, I'm trying to think of things to talk about. Do you see that fly? That's horrible. So, what kind of things do you guys want to can? Have you looked at my other canning videos? My favorite canning video, or favorite thing for me to can, is my French fries. I'm going to show you guys a jar right now. So I do my hash browns, and I dry can these, right? There's no water inside. Well, there's a little bit of butter, but I don't use water. So these are for hash browns. You just open them up and pour them into your pan, and they're ready to go. And these are my French fries. And same thing. You just open them up, stick them in your air fryer or in a pan or whatever, crisp them up. And they're really good. And when did I do these? Holy, I still have some left from 2023. So I will be doing more potatoes because I think I have like 10 jars left, which is not going to be enough for the winter months. So I will be doing more of these as well. I want to try dry canning zucchini. Now, I have been trying to do some research to find it, and I haven't seen anybody dry canning. So I think when I do my next batch of cherry tomatoes, I'm going to try dry canning some zucchini and just see how that goes. I like dry canning my carrots better because when you do them in water, they're like carrots. They're like mushy. They just turn to mush. The flavor, the color, everything goes. I'm going to show you my dry canned carrots too. Hold on. So these are my dry canned carrots, and what you see in there is just butter. There's a little bit of liquid in the bottom, but oh my goodness, they taste so much better, and they're like al dente, right? They have texture to them that you have to bite into. And this is my, I think it's a squash. Is it a summer squash? Anyways, this I did in 2022. This is my last jar, which is why I'm doing some more zucchini again this year. But this is, oh, it's acorn squash. Okay, so I have lots of that coming. So I will be doing more acorn squash again this year as well. Now this is come to a full rolling boil. I'm going to show you guys. Let me take you out there. So this is a full rolling boil. Now I'm going to go to my timer and I'm going to set it for 10 minutes. And I want to make sure that this keeps boiling the entire time. If your pot doesn't have a lot of headroom, just keep a kettle going. Keep a nice, because if you have to add more water to it, you don't want to bring the boil away. But in 10 minutes, I really doubt that you're going to use that water. That's why I just keep a lid on it. And that's it. And these are my lovely beets that I'm cooking up. And what else can I talk to you guys about while I'm stalling? I guess I could quickly talk to you guys about my channel. So I know that my content's kind of all over the place. I have gardening, I have canning, I have medicinals, I have just chatting, I have chickens, I have, okay, that's two, yeah, so when it gets boiling, where it's like at a hand, just turn down the temperature a little bit. You want to maintain the boil, but you don't need it to jump out of the pot. So yeah, my channel's kind of all over the place. I have created playlists to kind of separate it, so if someone's interested in one thing, they don't have to watch everything. I'm also thinking about bringing a little bit of different content to my channel. I did go and have a trip down to Vancouver, and I did do some filming. So there's some filming from when I'm in the Vancouver Harbor. Please note that my son is with me, and he is not very, he wasn't thinking about the fact that I was recording. Probably said some things that were slightly inappropriate, but that's just how he and I, you know, we're just open to say what we want around each other, so I'm okay with that. And then I also did some filming in the taxi ride on my way home, because we went through the real bad part of Vancouver, like downtown Hastings area, which isn't far from where we were, but they keep it really out of the way. They don't want everybody to see. So it shows a lot of the, like, there's such an epidemic with drug addiction and homelessness in all, not just Vancouver, but in every single community, every town, every city, everywhere. There is homeless people and drug addicted everywhere, and it's really, really bad. So I did do a little bit of filming of that on the way back, a little bit of a taxi ride. So I'm gonna stick that out there. And if you guys have anything that you would like me to do for content, please let me know down in the comments. Like, do you guys have anything